Hello everyone. My name is Anand Tamboli and I'm many things to many people. But for the sake of today's conversation, I will share some of my perspectives with you as a futurist. Recently, I had an interesting interaction with a senior people manager from a big ASX listed company. Their employee engagement survey numbers came out a few months ago, and like most organizations, they were not very encouraging. So this people manager sat with his team, hoping to discuss potential improvements to improve engagement numbers. But he didn't seem to be asking the right questions. Among some 40 odd questions, one question was about employees getting opportunities to improve their skills. But unfortunately, the majority of the employee responses were not in agreement. So the questions this team leader asked were like, can you tell me what trainings we should add to our L&D platform? Do we need to increase the frequency of these trainings? And so forth. And if you think carefully, you will realize this is where the problem begins. My main argument for today's corporate world is that we need a different kind of innovation. We need to think differently to solve our modern problems. We need better ways to improve the employee experience. But if we keep thinking the same way as we did before, it can be challenging to improve the employee experience. With the hybrid work adding a new dimension to our challenges, we must think differently. Let's talk about the earlier case. Instead of asking which training to add or how frequently they should train, don't you think it would be better to understand the underlying logic behind this type of response? Why not ask employees what their aspirations are, where they want to go, how they want to grow, and not just in their professional lives, but also as a person? How and where do you see themselves? How do and where they see themselves in the next 2 to 5 years? And for them to do that, what skills are necessary? And when we find the underlying cause of their aspirations and their intents, when we provide them with the right training or skill building opportunities and show how that impacts their career and grow professionally, won't they be more engaged? Thinking this way means as an HR professional or as a people leader, you have to take a step back. Not just one, but a few steps back. Dive deep into the engagement issues, their root causes, and address them while keeping current context in mind. Everyone seems to be talking about disruption and exponential change these days. But tell me, how many of us really understand how exponential change looks like? What is the one biggest challenge with exponential change? Once Dr. Albert Bartlett made a profound statement that the greatest shortcoming of humanity is our inability to understand the exponential function. The logic is simple and irrefutable. Exponential growth cannot proceed indefinitely within a finite system, whether on Earth or in an economy. And to explain this, Bartlett gives an interesting example. Suppose we put one hypothetical strain of bacteria in an empty bottle at 1100 hours. Bacteria grow by dividing themselves and therefore they double at a finite rate. Let's assume they are doubling every minute. Then we observe that the bottle is full at 1200 hours. Now with this information, I have two questions for you. The first question is, what time was the bottle half full? And most people get it right. The answer is 11:59 hours, just a minute before 1200. And that is because they double every minute. Now the second question, if you were one of the bacteria in that bottle, at what time would you realize that you are running out of space? And to understand this further, let's see how the bacteria population was for the last few minutes in that bottle. At 11:59, the bottle would be 50% full. At 11:58, it would be 25%. So it would be only 3% full at 11:55. And most people This is not a cause for alarm. And how many of would you realize that there is a problem just 5 minutes before it is full? When is the best time to take some action? Unfortunately, there is no fixed or correct answer to it. It depends. The only appropriate response is today and now. This example explains how exponential growth works. It tells us the gravity of the situation concerning exponential changes and exponential growth in the market. But it would be a big mistake if we think that taking quick action is the best decision. And to understand this point, we need to extend the previous example even further. Let's say a few smart bacteria in that bottle decide to take quick action, and they decide that just 2 minutes before 1200 hours, before reaching 100% capacity. So they start searching for new bottles because they are running out of space. Assuming they were lucky in their endeavor, they found 3 new bottles. So now they have 4 bottles in total. Do you think they have everything under control now? Think about it. And here's the third pertinent question. With the discovery of 3 more bottles, how long do you think they can continue? And we already know that by 1200 hours, the first bottle will be 100% full, with 3 more to go. At 1201, the second bottle will be full and still 2 to go. 1202, all 4 would be full and they would be the end of it. The point is, even if you act just a few minutes before, you will be only able to buy a few more minutes before things go out of your hands. And this is the main problem. So simply, if someone comes up with a new HR or talent management strategy, it would be very short-lived, mainly due to the pace at which the entire landscape is changing. Today's market environment needs a very different approach. The pandemic has significantly changed the way people are now thinking about their careers or their lives. As a result, many people are rethinking their career choices. So let me share my 2 key observations here. First of all, whether it is work or life, everyone is looking for a purpose. People are asking valid and more profound questions. They are asking, what is the point of all this? Why am I doing this? Where is this going? And we must answer this. Recently, one of the guests on my podcast told a curious story of a butcher. This butcher had his small shop in a big local market of the town. There were also quite few other butcheries, prominent brands in that market. But this one was consistently doing well. His shop would be always full. People would always love his product. So these big brands tried to buy him out. They offered him a good amount of money, and yet he didn't blink. They raised their offer and still he didn't budge. So they raised their offer even higher, so much so that he could take all that money and retire happily. But still he sent them away. Finally, they brought him to the negotiation table and asked him that, look, we really need to go through this transaction, so tell us what you want. And he said, I don't want your money. I love my work, I want to keep working. So finally, they decided to revise their offer and the initial amount. They also added a 5-year contract term so that he could work as a business manager in the same shop, doing what he loved doing. He accepted. He needed a purpose, something to look forward to, a meaning to his life, to his day. And if we put things in perspective, we have a better engagement. Secondly, people now want more personalization. They want career personalization to suit their career pattern, their life goals. So how can you offer that? And it's a big question. There is an interesting change we all can see in most organizations. We have at least 3 or 4 generations in our employee mix. And it is one of the significant factors to consider as we talk about employee experience. Because not everyone sees things the same way. Some employees value flexibility, others want stability. Some want variation, others don't want that variation. And that means we need more personalization, less generalization. Let me give you an example. Let's say parental leave. You might think that your parental leave policy is excellent. You might think that is one of the best value propositions for your company. But what if I already have young kids? How does that help me? What if I don't want to have kids and I'm not planning for one? So my circumstances could be different from my colleagues. And therefore, what you are offering may or may not make sense for me. The fact is that, despite popular opinion, COVID-19 did not accelerate the future. Instead, it just brought it forward, tiny portion of it in the form of some technological changes, which skewed it completely. In principle, we haven't changed much. We used to go from meeting room to meeting room. Now we go from Zoom to Zoom. PowerPoint decks are still at the center stage. The flood of emails hasn't receded. So why not think about reimagining and creating a more dependable employee experience? How can we move beyond some incremental changes and make a step change? One of the structural changes you might want to think about is building a decentralized decision-making capability and autonomous teams. We know that most organizations were like a pyramid structure, which is now flattening out. But I would argue that flattening is not helping much. Instead, it is creating even more decision-making bottlenecks. Flattening is not a workable solution in the current context. Think about distributed leadership. And we already know that more people want recognition, more people want a sense of control and autonomy. So if you are going to do that, you need to have more people leading. But if your current org structure doesn't allow that, you have to think differently and change it. So try distributed leadership model where more people can be in leadership roles. More people can act autonomously, and that way you can find a golden mean. A lot of employees also want to try new things. But if you cannot do that within the company, they will think about leaving and trying out. The trend in resignations is a real deal. So why not provide entrepreneurial opportunities within the company itself? So try special purpose teams to give autonomy and to work on special projects. Let them flex their muscles as they might do in a startup or entrepreneurial environment. They still will be part of your company, but will have more vibrant and new experiences. Let me be very candid with you on this one. If you want to create a better employee experience, refurbishing the old stuff in a new digital format is not the best way to do it. My point is this: there is pandemic-induced change and there is deliberate change. Deliberate change is all about being intentional and humanizing the work. And for doing that, we must innovate our approach. We don't want to repeat our mistakes, and we certainly don't want to make efficient mistakes. You have that power to make transformative changes. And it all starts here with our mindset. Our mindset defines our thoughts, and our thoughts drive our actions to get to the outcome. Over the past few years, work focus has moved significantly from the process and efficiency to technology and disruption. Now it is on purpose, meaning, and belonging. I prefer to call it the human age. And it can succeed if we change how we look at it. However, my main argument still applies. We need to think differently to solve our modern problems. And for that, we need to change our outlook, mindset, and actions, because we are stepping into the human age.
Good day, everyone. So, today I will be speaking about work trends in 2021 and beyond. So, this is like a conversation about changing the way the HR leaders need to function in future by reshaping the relationship with their employees. So what do people yearn for? Autonomy, vision, collaboration, purpose. It's fair to say that 2020 rocked many organizations and business models, upending priorities and plans as business leaders scramble to navigate a rapidly changing environment. For many organizations, this included responding to the social justice movements, shifting to a full-time remote staff, determining how best to support employees' well-being, managing a hybrid workforce, and now addressing legal concerns around the COVID-19 vaccine. So there has been a transition from 2020 to 2021, and there will be quite a lot of changes as we go along. So before I resume, I would like to say a little bit about myself. I'm a researcher, educator, and I also teach business and IT courses. And in addition to that, my interest is writing research papers, speaking on my interesting topics like data analytics, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and also human resource. So in today's session, I will be talking about managing the employee to managing the life experience of employees, employees being actively engaged in cultural debate, increase of gender gap, and we will also look at some of the other organizational challenges. So before we resume the session, let's start with a quote by Antoinette de Saint. If you want to build a ship, don't drum up to the men to gather wood, divide the work, and give orders. Instead, teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. Organizations must think that the employees are not just employees, they are human beings. So they have to think about relations, developing good relation between themselves and the employees. And this relation has been changing from time to time. So we see here that the organizations have been giving benefits to the employees to have a good relation and also to increase their productivity and profits. So in 1960, we see Canada that they gave revised unemployment and retirement benefits. In 1965, Germany gave fixed-term employment contracts. In 1990, Japan gave childcare leave law. In 2000, US gave Googlification of the workplace. In 2005, there was a global expansion and a wellness benefit program. So these had services for their employees. Organizations had these programs for the benefit of the employees. And history shows that there was always a tug of war between the employer and the employees. Organizations have to shift from managing the employee to managing their life. Now they are the ones who are going to support the employees with their life experience. And it has been found that those employers who support with these life experience see a 23% increase in the number of employees reporting better mental health, and 17% have an increase in the number of employees reporting better physical health too. So there is a good and positive outcome for the employees. So 21% increase in the number of high performance as compared to the previous years. The organizations, those who provide support to the employees, are finding that there is a good outcome for them. COVID-19 has impacted life, and we have to think about work not separate but a part of life. Work and life cannot be separate. There's life and work in a component. So organizations have to think about things that they can do to support individuals, their families, communities. If employers build a deeper impact in the life of their employees, then their employees have better life and well-being. नहीं इसको पढ़ ऐसे और भी कुछ रिकॉर्ड हो जाए इसलिए इसको बंद करना है. So these are the companies AXA, MasterCard, HP, and Novartis. So these companies have taken a lead to provide their employees with better financial well-being, better mental health, better physical health, and better sleep. And so they have increased their productivity. With a good work and life balance, there has to be a more humanized deal because having a good humanized deal with the other employees is better for themselves, for their families, and for the communities as a. Three-fourths of the employees expect that their employers should take public stance on social issues, even if that issue has no relation to the business. And that is a fundamental shift, where there is a shift from a shareholder-based economy to a stakeholder-based economy. And this shift is the CEOs to participate in the debates and get involved. If organizations do not participate in the cultural debate, then the employees are disengaged. So we find here, according to Gartner, that the number of engaged employees increased from 40 to 60% when the organization acted on today's social issues. So the companies which took this effort were Unilever, Telstra, Bank of America. There's also another issue, that is increase in the gender gap as employees return to office after the pandemic. Now, after the pandemic, it has been found, and or some of the organizations have surveyed that men are likely to return to work. That is, they want to go to work from office, but women want to stay at home and they want to work from the home. Before the pandemic, it was found that the workers who worked from office were better off and they were high performers, which accounted to 64%. During the pandemic, according to Gardner, it was found that the remote workers are 5% more likely to be high performers than those who work full time from the office. Then there's also an issue of gender pay. Men are more inclined to work from the workplace, and managers hold stigma against the in office jobs. And we should also expect the managers to see that they are rewarding the male staff more than those of the females. There are a few organizational challenges like new regulations, flexibility, dealing with mental health issues, and providing the COVID vaccine. So we need a new employment deal to build and to go on. With the COVID, there has been an issue with the technology. The employees have given their data to various platforms, various applications, and now they don't trust that these technologies with their data. So this has led to frustration of the employees regarding the tech. It is found that less than 50% of the employees trust the organizations with their data, and 44% don't receive any information regarding the data that has been collected from them. So there is a radical shift. There is a radical shift of thought. Now, the radical flexibility over when, where, and how the employer work are going to be to improve performance. As the organizations have shifted to change by working virtually, so it has seen that even the employees who work from home have performed very well, and their performance has. So we can see here, like those who worked from home have like 55%, and those who did not work from home and they work from office were 36%. So there is quite a good and high performing employees, even with the flexibility of the work. COVID-19 pandemic has brought the well-being of the employees to the forefront. And it is important that the organizations also think about the mental state of the workers and the work they have to do with this mental state. Now, as work is a component of life and we cannot separate them, so one has to deal with the mental health issue as well. And now it is a very important issue which the organization should look after by dealing with the mental. Now it has been found that those employees build deeper impact in the life of the employees, then they have a better financial well-being, better mental health, better physical health, as well as better sleep. So this has resulted in positive outcomes for the employees, and the organizations have improved and are doing well. During the pandemic, there were several organizations which were giving aid to um, their employees by having wellness benefits. In addition to that, they even had a collective mental health day where it was one day off so that they can give entire company time to destigmatize and to have a um, awareness about this workforce, about this critical issue. And some of these companies who had taken this wellness program were MasterCard, HP, Novartis, and AXA. Now, there was also another issue where reskilling was important by the organizations. Previously, this was not an issue in 2017, but in 2020, reskilling is important, and 33% of the skills on the job ads are found that there should be more reskilling of the employees. So the organizations are trying to attract those talents who have those specific skills needed, and they are also attracting the talents, and they are also open to working from home or remotely. And for those organizations who want their employees to be in their base or in their companies, they are also giving special incentives, benefits so that they can relocate to their uh, location where the companies are located. And there is also a program to just hire and pay the premium to the skilled, and some of the organizations are also renting employees for a short period of time so that their skills can be met and their organization's goals can be fulfilled. So is the disruption over yet, or are which are coming yet and we have to see? Or will the implications from 2020 play out across the next several years to come? So, to deal with all these issues, we have to build a healthier community between the employers as well as the employees. By building healthy community between the employer and employees, it is good for both because they will be better off. For that purpose, there has to be good HR leaders who are helping in reshaping relationship with the employee with a purpose by building between the employees, their families, and communities. There has been a new deal with employees. As employees, there has to be a new undertaking of random flexibility, deeper connection, better work and life by building a better life for the organization with the employer and the employees. So moving forward, the HR leaders are the one who can help the organization by reshaping the relationship with the employees, families, and communities as a whole. Thank you for attending my session. I'll be happy to connect in my LinkedIn and in my Twitter account. Have a nice day.
We cannot talk about discovering potential in people and growing them without talking about human resources. What are the emerging assumptions for HR? HR is not about HR, but the business. HR delivers value to employees, organization, customer, investor, and community. HR delivers value through talent, individual competence, leadership at all levels, organization capabilities. And of course, digital has changed the HR agenda through digital business strategy and digital HR strategy. So actually, what are the emerging trends in talent and digital? And how does HR respond? Let's see. Talent outside in. HR talent creates value to key stakeholders. We have, as you can see in the middle, talent stakeholders, and then we have investors and donors, we have customers, employees, line managers, partners, dealers, communities, and regulations. We also have market value, financial performance, intangibles, risk, customer share, target customers, customer intimacy, employee value, productivity, competence, commitment, contribution. We also have strategic value, shaping strategy, creating organization traction, collaborative values, partnership, outsourcing, and reputational value, social responsibility, regulatory oversight, and cultural awareness. We have lots of things to think about, and HR has to deal with multiple tasks. We also have discovered the new talent formula. Talent, productivity, means engagement, means competence, ability to do the work, commitment, willingness to do the work, and contribution, creating well-being at work. What does it mean, competence? Bring the right people into the organization, move them through the organization, and move them out. Of course, this is what happens in some organizations too. And also integrate them. Enact an employee value proposition. What do I get? What do I give? Well-being through growth mindset. Why growth mindset? How to build growth mindset. Remove threats, approach values, and attach to people. Let's have a talent overview. Bringing people into moving them through, removing them from the organization is one of the major challenge for HR. Bringing people in. What do we actually do to bring the right people into our organization? Moving people through. What do we do to upgrade our existing talent? Removing and retaining key people. What do we do to remove and or retain key people? We talk about commitment, driving employee engagement through an employee value proposition, and we will define the employee value proposition sooner. How do we keep our employees engaged to give the best efforts? Contribution. How do we help employees find meaning and purpose from work? The first trend in discovering talent, competence, and setting future standards. The type of competence, technical and social, and we have seen that social competencies are so important nowadays, and they will be important also in the future. Today, we are talking about what are we good at? What are we good at technically and what are we good at socially? Challenges. What are our challenges ahead? What is our strategy to respond, and who are the key customers and what do they want? Tomorrow, what will we need in the future? Given our challenges and strategy, what must we improve technically and what must we improve socially? Let's take a look at what the World Economic Forum has said about the skills in 2022 already. Thinking about the future, we can see growing some skills and declining some others. Here, in the left part, growing skills are analytical thinking and innovation, active listening and learning strategies, creativity, originality and initiative, technology, design and programming, and so on. As you can see, these are the most important skills for the future. Some of them are declining, as you may also assume, like manual dexterity, endurance and precision, memory, verbal, auditory and spatial abilities, technology installation and maintenance, reading, writing, math and active listening, for instance. So let's concentrate in the future for what skills are quite necessary for us to perform. We are talking about sourcing from new places, as speaking about talents, discovering potential, growing potential, we need to source from new places. Like temporary employees, like micro offices, alliances, CEO of me, contingent workers, free agent nation, buffer workforce, crowdsourcing, borrow talent, and outsourcing. So there are so many places that we can take into consideration when we need to discover our talents. The next step would be screening through good interviews. So recruitment becomes more and more important, and technology and digitalization have had a huge impact on this process. What do we need to do? We need to define standards, key technical and social skills we seek for the future. Translate standards to observable behaviors. Prepare specific questions to probe behaviors. Use multiple interviews. Prepare people, managers, to do the interviews. I will try to summarize a little bit my experience with recruitment, as we have seen so many managers not involved in the recruitment process, which is considered nowadays a weakness in the process, in the recruitment process. So we advise our managers to become a part of the recruitment team. We go with lead questions and break them down as needed. We exhaust one series of questions before moving on to the next. We come from hypotheses regarding strengths, potentials, etc. We use probing questions, get to the specific and very initial impressions. The questions we should ask: how did we get X job? Why did you do and what did you do in this role? What did you like or not like about the job? Then we move to secure through customized offer. We need to take into consideration what questions do potential employees have, because usually our employees, our candidates, have lots of questions to ask, but they are afraid to ask them. How do we create a unique offer that will give the employee the desired experience? What you want to get, what you have to give. Create an employee brand through the experience. These are some of the most important strategies that we need to apply at HR level, but also at organizational level. Of course, securing by branding is very important, and lots of companies during the last years have put lots of work and lots of practice into developing their employer branding. Product brand, firm brand, organization culture, leadership brand, employee brand, they are all very important, as you may see. Create the employee value proposition. What is an employee value proposition or employee brand? And what is the impact of the employee value proposition in our organization? How the company brand benefits employees. This is the definition. What do I get? from being here? What can you offer? What's my experience in this company? And how do we make a difference comparing to our competitors in the market? The features we are talking about is salary and benefits or company culture, and the benefits may be job satisfaction, great working environment, freedom to innovate, transparent communication, rewards and recognition. What is an employee value proposition? What do your talent wants and what your company wants? Actually, what we need to do, we need to give our employees more voice. Vision. Individuals feel part of something important and are energized about the future. Opportunity. Individual development is encouraged, supported, and tailored to the needs of the individual. Incentive. Performance is recognized, rewarded, and celebrated in ways that drive long-term motivation. Impact. Employees' work is meaningful and employees understand how their work connects to the bigger picture. Community. Employees feel a sense of belonging and pride in the organization. Communication. Employees communicate to reduce noise and reach a shared vision. And empowerment. People feel responsible for taking initiative and action. Let's have a look at one experience, the evolution of meaning. And we have here some examples. Level 1, the activity, what we do. Level 2, experience, how we do it. And level 3, meaning, why we do it. And we have food, purchase, shopping, music, positive psychology, employee sentiment, and leadership. Let's see, for food, for instance, we have level 1, the activity, eat. Level 2, the experience, to have a meal. And level 3, the meaning, to have a family gathering. Purchase, the activity, to buy a car, for instance. The experience, enjoy how the car drives. And the meaning, have the car as a part of our identity. Shopping, the activity is busy a product, shop by internet. Have a great in-store or shopping experience, and the meaning is find meaning from the product and the experience, the customer journey actually. Music, the activity is listening to a song, the experience is attending a concert, and the meaning of music, have the music and concerts touch you. The employee sentiment, the activity is satisfied, the experience is engaged or committed, and the meaning from the work, unleash creative energy. Leadership, do what leaders do, the experience is create leadership beyond the leader, and the meaning, become a meaning maker. So I think you may understand better the evolution of meaning. Why is that so important to identify top talents or high potentials for employers? High potential employees need to know that you recognize their potential. In fact, a recent study showed that 77% of hypos feel that being recognized as high potential talent is important to them. These workers want help in identifying a career path, and they also want support in carving their path. For these reasons, it's critical that managers identify hypos early or in order to retain them and keep them engaged. Employers who identify top talents increase the likelihood of retaining top talents and reshaping the benefits of a more engaged employee. The benefits of high potential employees in your company, for instance. What could be those benefits? There are several benefits of having hypos in your company. First and foremost, they are likely to learn and progress faster, which means you're spending less money to develop them. Their rapid career growth also helps raise the bar for other employees. A little competition never hurt anyone. It's no surprise that studies repeatedly show companies that invest in the identification and development of hypos show better performance financially. Finally, as high potential employees continue to climb in their career with your company, they are also able to spot and develop other hypos. In turn, this creates a pipeline of star employees that can help your company thrive. So, how exactly can a manager go about identifying which of their workers have the most potential? Here are some characteristics that define most high potential employees. They are good at what they do. Research from Gartner showed that high potential talent brings 91 more value to an organization. What's more, in comparison to their peers, they exert 21% more effort. The numbers say it all. High potential employees are extremely talented and produce consistently great work. You can also track their performance with 360-degree feedback in order to paint a clear picture of their current career situation, as seen not only by you and the employee, but also by co-workers, subordinates, and customers. They jump on leadership opportunities. When challenges arise and problems need to be solved, high potential employees want the chance to step up to the plate. They are looking for growth opportunities and are generally not afraid to take on something new. Hypos aspire to be company leaders in the future. To this end, they see each new responsibility or task to make an impact as a stepping stone. Whenever group projects materialize or you simply can't manage a certain initiative on your own, top talent will be quick to volunteer to assume leadership roles. They work well autonomously. As a manager, you don't have to worry about asking these employees how much progress they're making on a certain project or initiative. They get things done every time and are completely reliable. You can trust them to do their jobs well without having to check it. This is a good thing. Autonomous employees report a greater sense of well-being and job satisfaction. Hypos enjoy an autonomous work environment because it provides greater control over their daily tasks and how their schedule is structured. They take initiative. The most talented employees don't wait around for you to tell them what to do. They are constantly brainstorming new ideas and are eager to take on more work. Whenever a spontaneous project pops up, they are usually the first to volunteer to take care of it. Innovation helps your organization get and stay ahead. So, getting the desire to take initiative is a key benefit of hiring and identifying hypos. As a manager, you can encourage this characteristic by allowing employees to gain more skills in their areas of interest. Schedule regular one-on-one meetings to make sure you clearly understand their personal or professional goals. What can you do to help them achieve their goals? This is very important for them. They ask questions. They are very curious. Because they are interested in their company's future, your future stars ask a lot of questions. They are curious. They are eager to understand company strategy and decisions. Even if they aren't in managerial position just yet, high potential employees want to make sure that the right decisions are made every time. As a manager, you can support these inquisitive minds by helping them seek out resources to learn. Do you have strategic plans, company policies and procedures, data or communication places they could learn from? Be sure to share what you can. Recommend a mentor to them, too, someone who has been in their shoes once and understands their desire for growth. And when you make a decision as a leader yourself, let them know why you made that particular choice whenever you can. They want to understand the thought process driving the company forward. They are eager to develop new skills. While some employees might just go through the motions, star employees are always interested in learning new things. They strive to become better workers and they make moves to improve on a daily basis. To this end, these folks read up on industry news and continue sharpening their skills so they can become even more effective. They very clearly show their desire to develop new skills in a variety of ways, whether that be asking for more responsibility or seeking out new training and certifications opportunities. It's important that managers identify their potential and help them to continue to develop. They take on responsibilities outside of their job descriptions. Your star employees know that their jobs don't have to be confined to what's written in their job description. In fact, they are eager to take on additional responsibilities and often tackle tasks they are not directly responsible for. Where does this desire come from? Hypos view new responsibilities as opportunities to grow and gain skills and experiences they would not otherwise have. For that reason, they aren't afraid of the risk and are instead driven by the reward. New responsibilities don't always mean adding a large workload to their plate. High potentials also find value in experiences like serving on new communities and mentoring others. Remember that while this group of employees are eager and driven, they can also be burned out by taking on too much. something for managers to take into consideration when reviewing a HiPost responsibilities. They recognize their co-workers' hard work. Remember, your rising stars are eager to be leaders. The best leaders recognize the good in others. HiPosts show recognition and gratitude for their co-workers and show interest in the greater good of your company. While it's easy to take someone else's contribution for granted, your most talented employees understand that their peers enjoy being recognized for their hard work too. They routinely thank their colleagues for their efforts and make sure great work never gets unnoticed. They want to be recognized. Like most employees, these individuals want to be recognized. It's not just about the work they are doing. However, HiPosts want to see their potential. Studies have shown that if high potential employees are not formally recognized by their company as being high potential, they may be less likely to see themselves as future leader in the organization. These employees are self-motivated and eager. So, if they don't feel a commitment from your company, they may be more likely to take their talents elsewhere. They are trusted by their peers. Due to their hard work, congenial attitudes, and dedication to their jobs, HiPosts have earned the trust of their peers. Colleagues respect them and go to them when they need advice. They value trust and view it as a leadership opportunity and a chance to support others. Star employees enjoy being someone that others can go to for help. They want to earn that trust because it will benefit them as a leader in the future. They possess a high level of emotional intelligence. A high level of emotional intelligence means that HiPosts are more easily able to monitor their own emotions as well as the emotions of others. They use emotional information to then guide their behavior, a highly valued skill in leadership roles. It's a lot easier to be an effective leader when you're able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. Employees who have a high level of emotional intelligence are empathetic and understand where other people are coming from. This skill impacts communication and is a powerful tool in exceeding goals and creating a productive organizational culture. They live and breathe the company culture. Your future leaders will be living embodiments of company culture. They reinforce that culture with everything they do, which encourages their peers to do the same. As a result, the office becomes a more enjoyable place to be, and collectively, the team becomes more productive. It's particularly important that your company culture is set up to support these employees, as well HiPosts aren't necessarily as interested in the highest salary as they are in a culture that supports them moving up in the organization and achieving their goals. They thrive in a culture that is right for them, one that is a culture of committed to growth. Let's see a little bit the HR leader competency model, because if we need to discover potential and we need to grow it, we need the HR leaders to have competencies like strategic enablers, core drivers, and foundational enablers, culture and change champion, strategic positioner, compliance manager, analytics designer, interpreter, technology and media integrator, credible activist, total rewards steward, and things like that. So let's draw some conclusions. Digital is definitely paving its way in talent acquisition, organization development, engagement, and operations, which are the major cornerstones of a successful HR foundation. As you may see here, we have some HR pillars like talent acquisition, talent management, engagement, compensation and benefits, and also some of the trends. So I hope this session has helped you. I'm here also for support. If you need additional information or materials, just drop an email and I will definitely answer to you. Please take into consideration discovering potential in your organizations, growing them, and please do not forget that human resources isn't the thing that we do, it's the thing that runs our business. Thank you very much for your participation. I wish you all the best from Romania.
After watching this video, what type of HR people you are? Those who are still drowning in data or can make use of them? We are living in a data revolution time. Data revolution has produced some jaw-dropping advances in all fields, but data can give you significant insights about your business and about workforce. And this is where data fluency comes in. I'm Ali Rida, one of the co-founder of Rawaj HCM Human Capital Management Solutions based in Egypt and Saudi Arabia. And in this brief session, we'll be exploring the fundamental concepts of data fluency, or the ability to work with data and extract insights and to find suggestions and decisions for the next steps. And before we start, we get used to make a quick visit to Egypt, our Egypt, in 2 minutes. Let's go. Welcome back. So, what type of major skills and competences needed for HR people in 2021? Based on LinkedIn survey has been done in 2019 with more than 1,000 HR professionals, there is two major findings in this survey. The first finding was about people and workforce analytics and how data could be used to make better decisions for recruitment, for performance management, for employee engagement. And the second finding was to focus on the big picture. Data could give you this ability to make a focus on the big picture by focusing on the strategic workforce planning, to deploy your workforce strategically and effectively to achieve the organization's vision. So in this talk, we will be talking about how to make this kind of switch to our companies to be a data-driven companies. And in this brief session, we'll be talking about how to understand data to make better decisions, and also how to have this kind of ability, the data analytics ability. And what about the digitalization in HR world after COVID-19? What is HR analytics? HR analytics is the process of collecting and analyzing human resources data in order to improve the organization performance, workforce performance, and the process can be referred also as a talent analytics, as a people analytics, or even workforce analytics. For example, if we are talking about uh, an employee, a software engineering firm has high employee turnover, and the company is not operating at a fully productive level. It takes time and investment to bring employees to bring them up to a fully productive level, right? And now HR analytics provides data-backed insights uh, on what is working well and what is not working well, so the organizations can make improvements and plan more effectively for the future, because this turnover will be a big loss for the organization itself. As in the example that we are talking about right now, knowing the cause of the firm's high turnover can provide valuable insights into how it might be reduced. By reducing the turnover, the company can increase the revenue and the productivity as well. So, again, I'm asking you, are you drowning in data? Data became wider and deeper, and we are stuck in processing this volume and get significant insights to our businesses. Why HR analytics? Because what gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed gets executed. And the business demands on HR people are increasingly going on the analysis, just because people are very expensive. So we are starting to measure and manage data. We are starting with reading and collecting, and to keep this aligned with our business objectives and people strategies. Then we need to reflect this on the part of performance management. Then we will go to getting a high return on investment for business and for HR people. Again, HR analytics needed, because unfortunately raw data on its own shape cannot actually provide any useful insight. It would be like looking at a large spreadsheet full of numbers and words. Without organization or direction, the data appears like meaningless. And now, if we are talking about the process, we'll be starting with gathering data by reporting. Then we need to make sense of data by analyzing and monitoring. After that, we need to develop predictive models. And finally, we'll be using the insights that we have been extracting from data analytics to make informed decisions. Let's talk about examples in HR analytics. How can HR analytics could be used by organization? Let's reflect on that through examples. Let's take a look on few examples using common organizational issues like turnover. When employees quit, there is often no real understanding of why they are quitting. There may be collected reports or data on individual situations, but no way of knowing whether there is an overarching reason or trend for the turnover. With turnover being costly in terms of lost time and profit, organizations need this insight to prevent turnover from becoming an ongoing problem. So HR analytics can give you this ability to collect and analyze past data on turnover to identify trends and pattern indicating why employees quit can give you ability to collect data on employee behavior, such as productivity, engagement, to better understand the status of current employees. Correlate both types of data to understand the factors that lead to turnover and help to create a productive model to better track and flag employees who may fall into the identified pattern associated with employees that have quit, to develop strategies and make decisions that will improve the work environment and engagement levels, and identify the patterns of employee engagement, employee satisfaction, and also employee performance. Another example, if we are talking about recruitment, organizations are seeking candidates that not only have the right skills, but also have the right attributes that match with the organization's working culture, performance needs. Shifting through hundreds or thousands of resumes and basing a recruitment decision on basic information is limiting, more so when potential candidates can be overlooked. So, for example, one company may discover that creativity is a better indicator of success than relate work experience, right? So, HR analytics can give you that to enable fast automated collection of candidate data from multiple sources, to gain deep insight into candidates by considering extensive variables like developmental opportunities and cultural fit, to identify candidates with attributes that are comparable to the top performing employees in the organization, and also to avoid any kind of bias and ensure equal opportunity for all candidates with a data-driven approach to your recruitment function. The viewpoint and opinion of one person can no longer impact the consideration of applicants. Also, it can give you the ability to have matrix on how long it takes to hire for specific roles within the organization, enabling departments to be more prepared and informed when the need to hire arises. Provide historical data pertaining to periods of overhiring and underhiring, enabling organizations to develop better long-term hiring plans. HR analytics can give you also a spotlight here about the recruitment cost to hire, the total cost involved with recruiting and hiring candidates. This metric is monitored over time to track the typical costs involved with recruiting specific types of candidates. Turnover, the rate at which employees quit their jobs after a given year of employment within the organization, for example. This metric is monitored over time and is compared to the organizational acceptable rate or goal. If we're talking about absenteeism, the number of days and the frequency that employees are away from their jobs, the metric is monitored over time and is compared to the organization's acceptable rate or goal. And now, let's see how can we apply data analytics in some of HR functions we already have on a daily basis. Time to hire. If findings determine that the time to hire is taking too long and the job application itself is discovered to be the barrier, organizations can make an informed decision about how to improve the effectiveness and the accessibility of the job application procedure. Turnover. Understanding why employees leave the organization means the decision can be made to prevent or reduce turnover from happening in the first place. If lack of training support was identified as contributing factor, then initiatives to improve ongoing training can be put together. Absenteeism. Understanding the reasons for employee long-term absence enables the organization to develop strategies to improve the employees' absenteeism factors. The return on investment in using HR analytics, just remember those four. We'll have the ability to make better decisions by using data, and you will create a business case for HR interventions, and you will test the effectiveness of these interventions, and you will be moving from an operational partner to a tactical and a strategic partner. One of the recent surveys has been done by AI HR Academy. They are talking about the functional and the strategic competences for HR people in 2020, which is called the T shape. Regardless what the functional competences was about, let's focus on the strategic competences. They have been talking about two of them related to data. The first one, which is data driven, and the second one was digital integration. In data driven, they need HR people after 2020 to be able to read, to apply, to create, and to communicate data into valuable information in order to influence decision making processes. While in digital integration competency, they need the HR people to be able to leverage technology to increase efficiency and to drive HR and business value. And finally, HR analytics is no longer an accessory nice to have. It's a must for businesses and for HR people. We in Rawaj HCM decided since the beginning of 2017, since we have this kind of HR tech appetite, to have HR tech profile because this is simply the future. Now, better you decide to switch to this opportunity before being enforced to do that. Thank you very much for having this talk with you and meeting you again in the next conferences. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the conference. I hope you've been enjoying yourself. I am Ankita Podar. I'm an senior HR business partner with Amazon based out of Dublin in Ireland. When not in my day job, I am the host of the podcast HR Bandit. It's available to wherever you listen to your podcast, and I hope you'd give it a listen. I also write for my blog, the hrbpstory.com. When not writing there, I contribute to a number of other websites such as OC Tanner, BTN based out of the UK, People Matters India, and more. I'm also a part of the blog squad with SHRM India. I was listed in the list of the top 50 HR influencers in India by SHRM in 2019 and in the list of the top 15 HR influencers in the country by the Economic Times India. I am extremely excited to be here with you today because I get a chance to discuss my favorite topic of the season. It's been a long pandemic season, one that has lasted almost 2 years and has only just begun to show signs of departure. Now, return to work and remote work are interesting for a variety of reasons. But before I launch into that, there is something I have to say. Our discussion today is limited to a very small section of the society. It is a minuscule part because, for a large section, words like remote work or even hybrid work is something straight out of the Jetsons age. Now, I'm a little scared of dating myself by using a Jetson reference, but I'm going to stick to it. It is going to be at least a decade, if not more, before we are able to ride around in autonomous vehicles, have machine cut fries served to us by robots sliding on rails, or walking into a completely automated health checkup. Until the day that happens, the factory floor folks, be it those in the hospitality industry, our doctors, and other frontline workers, are going to have to continue to turn up on a prescribed schedule and live in cities where their workplace is. Our discussion today is for a very small privileged set of the society, a set that our profession is privileged to be a part of. So, why is return to work important and what is so great about remote work? It is neither new or novel. We have been talking about this long before COVID arrived on the scene. What the virus has done is accelerate our thinking towards moving to this. Now, remote work and being able to work from anywhere comes with a variety of benefits. A, it allows us to tap into the talent pool, a wider talent pool that has people who would previously may not have been interested in relocating to places where our offices were. B, it allows us increased flexibility, be it our schedule, the cities we live in, or even the countries we choose to be citizens of. Of course, there are many other kinds of advantages such as saved time, increased productivity, and more. However, while we have all these benefits, we also have an equal number of open questions, which is slowing down our movement towards being able to work from anywhere. Now, in our time today, I hope to cover the top three players who have the power to influence the future of work, and also three big ideas that we can implement today to usher in the future of work. Now, the beauty of these ideas is that they're not just applicable to those who want to work fully remotely or from anywhere. It is equally applicable to those who choose to work in a hybrid model and to those who want to work from an office full time. So let's begin by talking about the three key players. Now, two of them are our usual suspects. We've surveyed and studied them to death. But there's a third player who we don't talk about enough, and they have the power to disproportionately impact what the future of work looks like. Now, before I move on to governments and how they can influence change, let's talk about what our employees and employers are saying. The good part is that there's been more research done in the past 2 years on remote work than the past 2 decades put together. If I was to download and pass through all of the reports that exist, I, either system, the one I'm looking at or the one in my brain, would probably crash. So, what I've done is I've passed through a few that we trust and know, and I'm going to share that with you today. So let's start with the employees. They are their favorite set to survey, and here's what they are saying. Per McKinsey's April 2021 report, 52% of employees said that they'll prefer a more flexible working model. 37% said that they would like to return to office full time, and 11% said that they would want to be fully remote. As per PwC's January 2021 report, the percentages are 63, 8, and 29. What is fascinating about this report is that 55% of those surveyed said that they would like to return to work at least 3 days a week. This is down 3% from when PwC first asked this question in June 2020. Now, 3% is a rounding error, it's likely not a big difference, but it does make one wonder. And I'm especially curious about when vaccines are rolled out, economies are open, and there are no new variants, how will people respond? Will the percentage of people who want to work fully remote fall even further? As per Cisco, in October 2020, 72% of employees said that they would want a more flexible working model, 9% want to go back to office full time, and 12% want to stay fully remote. So that's what employees are telling us. Now let's take a quick look at what the employers and organizations are doing. Now, per Deloitte's April 2021 again, 89% of employers say that they are going to offer a more flexible working model. 2% say that they are going fully remote, and 8% are unsure, which is probably where more organizations are than they want to admit. As per Upwork, in the same month, 74% said that they're going to offer a more flexible model, 20% said that they're going fully remote, and 6% intend to go back into office full time. Now, that's what organizations and leaders are saying in a survey. But if you take a quick look at the announcements that are out in the market already, what we have observed that there's a trend. Those in the financial industry are a big fan of everyone coming back into the office. The tech industry is offering a hybrid model. They seem to be a fan of the 3:2 ratio. And a very small percentage of organizations are experimenting with going fully remote. I don't know whether you've come across Google's news, but I'm sure you've heard it somewhere. They've launched a new tool that allows employees to check how their salary changes depending on the location they choose to work from. Now, none of this is set in stone. If there's anything we've learned from the great resignation and the spike in demand for talent, it is that employers can no longer afford not to listen to their employees. Now let's turn the lens towards our third key player, the David of the Goliath story, the person not everyone's talking about just yet. It is governments. Now, before I launch into why governments are an important three key player, I want to rewind a little to how office locations were chosen. Now, location planning is an extremely complicated strategy that involves 500 different factors, if not more. It has factors such as talent availability, raw material availability, customer presence. It depends on whether the organization is designing after a follow the sun model, tax breaks offered by the government, and more. Now, irrespective of where office locations were chosen, economies were built around these offices. Now, be it grocery stores, cafes and eating joints, the weekday markets, cultural amenities, and more, it did boost a local economy. It also had a number of jobs dependent on it, such as canteen workers, security, and others. Now, when everyone went to working from home, the discretionary spending fell drastically. We don't expect that to continue. We expect discretionary spending to come back up. However, employees will take the discretionary spending to wherever they now choose to work. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially if they are taking economies to smaller cities. However, it does become a problem when they choose to switch countries. Now, this image is iconic. It is the image from June 2021, that is this year, of the G7 summit, where they attempted to arrest the race to the bottom on corporate tax. In a landmark decision, all of the participants agreed that the top international multi giant tech organizations are going to pay a similar amount of tax irrespective of the countries they operate in. It was a decision that most governments were looking to make for the longest time. However, there is now a new race to the bottom. If you look at how governments are looking at tax for high net worth individuals, there is a race to attract remote workers. Netherlands for the longest time had a tax break for international workers who had been recruited to work in Netherlands. This tax break was about 5 years long. Portugal, Italy, and Greece are now following suit. And it isn't just with regards to tax. There are a lot of laws around virtual work that are being explored. And I could take the example of the right to request for remote work that is launched in Ireland. Now, these are very, very, very early wins, and you don't know which direction the government is headed. But what is undeniable is that we need to pay attention to them. Organizations have historically stepped in when governments fail, but one mustn't forget that when organizations fail, governments will step in. They have the power to dictate the future of work, and we mustn't forget that. So those were our three players. And it would be unfair to say that it is only these three players who influence the direction in which we are headed. When we talk about working from anywhere, there are a lot of concerns that come up. And our top ones are being what happens to collaboration? What happens to innovation as a result of chance encounters? We aren't really having all those chance encounters anymore. How do we preserve company culture? Is it still a thing? And what happens to our extended working hours and the stress that rises as a result of them? Now, the three big ideas that I have for you today aren't essentially something you've never heard before. You likely have. And they're not a perfect solve. But there are things that we can do today to usher in a future that allows us to open a lot more possibilities than there exist today. The first idea that I want to talk to you about today is that of moments that matter. This is my favorite. And if there is just one idea that you walk away with from our conversation today, it is this. We have been brainwashed into thinking that days of the week matter. The entire conversation around how many days a person should be in office has overtaken to the extent that we've forgotten why we want our employees in the office in the first place. If you look at the surveys that I have referred to earlier, or any other survey out there in the market, they all have directly or indirectly at some point asked those respondents, how many days a week would you like to return to work? Return to office. Everyone's been working. Now, it is from these surveys that we've come up with a hypothetical 3 day in office, 2 day at home combination. And I would challenge that. It is hard to explain why we want employees in office 3 days a week. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's been asked where the magic number of 3 is to 2 came from. Why does it make it better than 2 days in office and 3 days at work? So today I want to sit here and challenge you to think about moments that matter versus days that matter. Stop asking employees which days they would like to return. There is nothing that makes Tuesday, Thursday, Friday better than other days of the week. What I want you to ask employees is what are the moments that they absolutely think that the entire team should be coming together for. And these are the moments that matter. The non negotiable events that everyone turns up together, be it in the office space or anywhere else. You could come up with decisions like in the design phase, we're all going to come together, whiteboard the ideas, and come up with a solution. And when it comes to executing the solution, we all go back home and implement. Now, the design phase could last as long as 3 weeks, where you're turning up to office 5 days a week. And your solution phase could last as long as 3 months, where you return to work only for moments such as retrospectives, sprint planning, team bonding events, and more. Now, I use a technology reference because that's the world I am most familiar with, but it spans across industries. Because no matter which industry you are in, there will be times where you need to bond as a team, where you have key team meetings, where you come together to solve a problem. and to retrospect. Now, that is what matters. Like, those are the moments which we need to come together for, and it doesn't matter how many days a week that is. My second big idea that I want, and that's moments that matter. Sorry, I missed that slide. But my second big idea is that of asynchronous conversations. Now, none of us like meetings, and they have been filling up our calendars ever since the pandemic started. Microsoft had its work trends report, which showed up the increase in the hours that we spend at work and in meetings. And we've talked about eliminating meetings for a very long time now. Now, eliminating meetings is not possible because, like I said, we are going to have moments that matter where everyone turns up. However, when that's not the case, there needs to be the opportunity to move towards asynchronous conversations. Asynchronous conversations are primarily conversations that don't necessarily happen in real time. Today, you could send me a message looking for a response, and I could respond to it in 5 minutes, 5 hours, or even 5 days, as long as it isn't urgent. What asynchronous conversation does, it provides a variety of benefits, allows us to increase response time, which means I now make better decisions because I've had the chance to think through them. It reduces my pressure to work in the same time zone as you. And this is extremely important if we think about working from anywhere. Imagine a team that sits distributed across Sydney, India, Europe, and the US. Having them all work at such a way that they can be on the same call at the same time is impossible. I won't even say close to impossible. It is impossible because at some point or the other, someone is going to stay up through the night to make it to the call. Asynchronous conversations with the right tech stack are extremely helpful because they not only help document everything, but they also aid work life balance, finding uninterrupted blocks of time, pushing up productivity, increasing transparency because now everything is recorded, and much more. They're probably a blessing in disguise. Now, not all meetings can be asynchronous. You can't move them all off the calendar and into chat boxes. But there's a huge amount that can be, and that is something we absolutely should explore if we were serious about encouraging work life balance, transparency, and better decisions. The last idea that I want to leave you with today is that of culture. The biggest question is that when we all work remotely, how do we preserve the company culture? And the important thing to remember here is that culture is caught, not taught. You could build innumerable trainings, send it out to new hires, have videos, leaders talking to it, crafting role models. But unless you find a way to build something that is caught, know that there is no way that you're going to preserve culture otherwise. Now, what I would encourage you to do here is analyze every single process that exists. You could have the best training in the world that talks about how the culture surrounds around trust, delegation, empowering every employee as an owner. But if for any small decision you have a long approval chain, it negates everything that you've taught in the training. So as we start rebuilding our processes, as we're returning to work, be it hybrid, fully remote, or even completely back into the office, look at what the processes are telling you about the company culture. Find a way to amalgamate it with the trainings because trainings alone has never built culture. And when everyone's remote, you don't get the same kind of opportunities to catch culture via hallway conversations, coffee chats, and others. So look at your processes a little more closely. Those are the three big ideas, right? Before I leave you today, if you really want to look at the future of work, if you really want to create a world where we have the opportunity and possibility of working from anywhere, either now or even 10 years down the line, it is a good time to start. Remember to focus on the moments that matter. Days are secondary. To remember that asynchronous conversations are the future. It has a host of benefits that could change how you work. And the last thing is that culture is caught, not taught. Trainings aren't enough, and your processes need to speak to culture. With that, I'm going to say goodbye. It was a great opportunity to speak to all of you today. I look forward to interacting with you. You can email me at hrpartnerstory@gmail.com. I'm at Twitter at Ankita Podar. And of course, come find me on LinkedIn. Thank you so much and have a great day.
O. Woodward once said, average leaders raise the bar on themselves. Good leaders raise the bar for others. But the great kind of leaders, they inspire others to raise their own bar. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to this session called Supernatural Leadership, Exceptional Leadership for Exceptional Times. I am Ali Khurshid Ahmed, your host for this session. Welcome and let's get started. A great thought from Donald McGann: leadership is an action, not a position. How many of us feel that leadership is attached to a particular seat? It is attached to a particular office. It is attached to a particular job title. It is not. Simon Sinek, the famous contemporary leadership trainer and speaker, one of the best thought leaders that I follow currently, he says that somebody might have a leadership like title but not be a leader, and then there might be somebody who does not have a leadership like title and still 100% be a leader. Just think about that. Okay, so what is the session's agenda? This is going to be a breezy TED like talk. What we are going to cover in this temperature check first, try to see where we exactly are. We'll start by understanding what leadership is. Okay, we're going to look at some levels of leadership. And then we start with the supernatural leadership framework. Sounds pretty intriguing, right? I'm sure you'll enjoy even more once we get into the details of it. Towards the end of the session, we're trying to present a practical action plan, followed by discussions and close out, right? A little bit about me before we get started with the content. Uh, as I said, I'm Ali. Uh, I am working with an international business group called FHG. I head their group performance management, training, and talent vertical. I'm also the founder and consultant of the Human Resources Group, which is a vibrant community of global human resources leaders, directors, managers, trainers, thought leaders across the globe. We are more than 12,000 members now, and counting, right? I'm also a global member of the elite HR body, one of the largest HR associations across the world, SHRM, USA. And I'm also a lead faculty member for their certification programs. So that is the professional bit about me. I'm currently based at Riyadh, which is the capital of the sunny Saudi. Nationally, I'm an Indian, a very small part of the 8 billion people across the globe that we have. I'm trying to do my little bit by doing these sessions and doing whatever else I can. Uh, my hobby, I really enjoy composing poetry and sketching when I have the time to do it. All right. Okay, so let's do a quick temperature check. Who wants change? Yeah. Who wants things to change? Right. So look at the image that's there on the screen. Whenever we ask this question, we see most of the hands in front of us, they go up, right? Everyone is happy, excited, listening intently to what you're going to say, because everyone wants things to change. Right, great, that's fantastic. Everyone wants things to change. What happens when we flip the question a little bit and we say, who wants to change? And then the whole reaction changes, okay? Just compare the two pictures, the reactions in the picture before and the reactions in the picture now. People are confused. The moment you ask them who wants to change, all those raised hands they drop down. Okay, so if like 20 hands went up before, and then you say who wants to change, I think you will just be ending up with two hands and everyone else is gone. So what happens? This is the problem that we have with ownership. Leaders are meant to drive ownership. Let's start looking into leadership, what exactly the concept is. Uh, Pretty interesting thought that I wanted to share with you. When you know that you have to think anyway, why not think big? Yeah, and leadership is as big as it gets. Well, there is no denying that we all are in an exceptional age. Okay, these times that we're finding ourselves in, specifically from the last year and a half, exceptional times, right? Very challenging. They're draining. They're trying. They're the difficult times. It's not just VUCA world that we were talking about before. It is something that is very difficult to make sense of. Okay, what you're seeing on the screen might have been a very rare sight on anyone's clipboard, but it's a common sight now every day. Okay, this is what we are doing, and because the times are exceptional, there is a need for exceptional leadership, and this is exactly what leaders have been doing this year and and the last. Yeah, so 2020 was an exceptional year, and then we have been still the leaders across functions, not just from the talent management domain or from the human resources field or from people management, but across sectors. Leaders, the good ones, have been trying to do their best in holding these dominoes of priorities, goals, targets from toppling over. Don't you think that if these leaders were supported, they would be able to prevent these dominoes from toppling over? Of course, yes. And that is exactly what we plan to do with this course. Let's try and understand what leadership is. I would say this is one of the most discussed, debated, written about concepts in the field of behavioral sciences and management. Leadership, everyone talks about it. There are thousands of definitions, but the one that is really close to my heart is the one by John Maxwell, wherein he says that a leader is one who knows the way, who goes the way, and who shows the way. How beautiful is that? It did not leave any aspect of leadership untouched. That knows the way a leader has to be somebody who's qualified to be the leader. He goes the way. He does is not only theoretically qualified, he's also practically applied, invested into the leadership responsibilities that he's been given. And in the end, he's not just doing it for himself, he's actually taking people with him and trying to show them the way to successful leadership. How beautiful is that? Let's look at different levels of leadership that Maxwell talks about. It starts with what most of the people think is the only level of leadership, position. Yeah. So in my consulting experience and also in my experience with corporate houses last decade and a half, what I've been seeing is a lot of people think that the position is the leader's role. If you have a position, you're a leader. If you do not have a position, not a leader. And that's all that they think about with respect to leadership. That's like you're you're on the KG level, okay? So if this is your master's, this is your bachelor's, this is your diploma, this is your high school, and this is like you're in elementary school, yeah? And you think that this is the end of leadership. It's not. It's where you get started. Okay. So possession, then permission. Then permission becomes production. You start producing results. Production becomes people development, not just producing results yourself, but actually developing people to do the same with you. And ultimately, you reach where few people reach, not many people reach the pinnacle of leadership. No? And there are some beautiful, top class examples that we have. People who are on the top of leadership in different walks of life. Okay, so we could look at collections like the 100. Okay, the globally recognized publication. So that publication recognized Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as one of the best leaders produced on earth. Right. So many other leaders were also talked about. So you had Nelson Mandela, you had Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, you had people like Martin Luther King. A lot of beautiful people, Mother Teresa. A lot of beautiful, powerful people who actually made a lot of change in a very short span of time, and they left a powerful legacy behind. Let's look at ourselves and our leadership styles and see, do we want to reach anywhere close to where these guys did? And if you try to do it, my best guess is yes, you might be the next great leader. Now, leaders, they have a big bundle of responsibilities to take care of. Those responsibilities, of course, cannot be executed unless and until you have the right kind of powers to execute those responsibilities. Hence, we come to a concept of what is called, the grand collection of powers that a leader might have. Of course, we start with the power of position. So let's say you're director of HR. You have a lot of power in your pen. You can sign off appraisals of people. You can sign off who's going to get hired. You can sign off who's going to get fired. Maybe promotions, movements of people. Allocation of resources inside the department. A lot of power in the pen that you hold. The power of possession. Then the power of information. Yeah, usually people in HR. Yeah, I've seen some people that actually enjoy holding back information, and they feel that this is a power that they have. Yeah, they don't share even publicly available information. They don't share it. So, for instance, they're aware when the festive holidays are going to come, but they don't share it with anyone because you know what they enjoy people walking into their offices and asking them 20 times when exactly is X holiday coming up in the company. Not the best demonstration of power, in my opinion. Then you have something called the power of expertise. Somebody has an exceptional kind of expertise in a technical skill, in a domain. Definitely, this person is going to be looked upon as a powerful leader for that particular domain. You have the power of reward. Leaders who can reward others are definitely respected because people feel that how I interact with this leader is going to have a direct impact on how well I'm going to be rewarded. Unfortunately, this is one field of leadership which has created a lot of uh, butter appliers. Yeah, a lot of people who are just doing it, sycophants. People who just do it to please the leader. Uh, be in his good books because if you're there in the good books of your leader, then you're the first one to get the promotions. You're the first one to get all the best kind of projects. You're the first one to be looked upon for the best kind of things that are available in the company. So the power of reward, if you do not use it fairly, it's it's a huge mess creating power that leaders have. On the other hand, if you are a good leader and you know how to use this power, it also gives you a wonderful opportunity to recognize exceptional talent, to recognize people who put in the kind of efforts that the best kind of employees should. And you actually have the power to reward them so people perform and you reward. That's the ideal situation. The exact opposite of this is the power of punishment. So if people are following what you're saying because you can reward them, then people are also going to follow you because you can punish them, and that is equally important and powerful. Last one is power of reference. Okay, which is of course you all understand what it is. So basically, when we have a leadership title, there are expectations attached to us. After expectations are set, we're giving them time to perform, and then people sit back and look at the results that we produced. So, how were the expectations, and how well were those expectations met with results? To maximize that, we have to think of what is our leadership style. Before we get into the supernatural leadership model, I want to set some perspective here. Food for thought. We've been hearing from different nooks and corners ever since this pandemic started. People are saying that, you know what, we are all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat. The pandemic is affecting all of us in the same way. It is not sparing everyone. We're in the same boat. It's not true. We're not in the same boat. Look at the image on the screen. So, what is the problem here? We're not in the same boat, but yes, we are in the same storm. Okay, so yes, there is a storm which is going to affect the yacht and it is going to affect the dinghy, and there is no denying that. But do you think it is going to affect the yacht in the same way as it is going to affect the dinghy? No, but definitely it is going to affect both of them. Who do you think needs to prepare better to defend himself from the storm? Definitely this one, right? Let's start the supernatural leadership model, which should be the way forward for all aspiring leaders. So, supernatural actually is an acronym from S till L. We're going to count down parts of leadership that you should be taking care of. Of course, we start with S, and S is self care. Why do you think self care is such a big thing? If you want to care for others, you have to first take care of yourself. If you cannot take care of yourself, you definitely cannot take care of others. Now, I remember my mother used to say, may the Almighty grant her Jannah. She used to say to my sisters, if you do not take care of yourself, then you definitely cannot take care of your kids. Think about that. So the mother, what does she do? She takes care of herself, of course, because she has to take care of herself, but also because she wants to be able to take care of her kids. Think about the coach. If the coach is not taking care of himself, he definitely cannot take care of the team. And that exactly is the job of the leader. He has to take care of his physical well being, he has to take care of his or her emotional well being, take care of his or her social well being, and also take care of his or her spiritual well being. Okay, it can be something as basic as hitting the gym every day, following your daily walks, not missing your exercises, to developing those coping skills, minimizing the stress that you face, then building those support systems, your families, your friends, different kinds of communication channels that you open up with people that you like, that you want to spend time with. And of course, spend some time with yourself. Try to meditate, try to spend some time in prayers, okay? Try to connect with nature on a deeper level. Once you start doing all of this in the right combination, you are all set to actually start looking at the other parts of leadership. So that was the S. Let's look at the U now. The U is, I would say, one of the most important parts of the supernatural leadership model, and it stands for the unique value proposition. What exactly is that? The UVP. Now, this is something which you do better than anyone else. Think about it. We all come from different backgrounds. We all come from different walks of life, different sets of experiences, different educational qualifications, different kinds of upbringings, different kinds of experiences growing up, working with different kinds of people, different cultures, different geographies, facing different challenges, surviving different storms. We all are unique in our own selves. So, what is that one thing, or those two things, those three things, which I know for sure that I could do better than anyone else? That is your UVP. Okay. What do we do? We have tried to map this in the form of this beautiful, impressive Venn diagram. Okay. So, this first circle talks about things that you do better than everyone else. Second one talks about what exactly the stakeholders want, what people want from you as a leader. Okay, so the intersection of these two is what we call the winning zone. Okay, so this is the clear point of difference wherein you are meeting or exceeding expectations. Try to expand this winning zone. The third circle is what your competition is doing. You know who exactly your competition is, internal or external. We're talking about positive competition here. So what is this? Now this is what stakeholders want and the competition is servicing. This is a danger zone for you. You do not want to lose out on your competitors here. Yeah, we have to minimize that. The thing in the center is the risky zone. This is actually the zone where all the competition is happening. We want to capture this ground because before other people capture it. And then we have the last one, which is actually kind of funny. Uh, the who cares zone. Okay, so the competition does something which is great. Stakeholders don't actually want it. We are also not so concerned or bothered because it's not our domain anyway. So who cares? Keep doing what you're doing. Now focus on this. Try to capture this. Try to minimize this, and you should be all good, right? We come to the P of the supernatural model. You have to be driven by a central inner sense of purpose. If you do not have a strategic connection to what you're doing as a leader, you definitely will not make much progress. Look at the stats on the screen. It says 85% of leaders spend less than 1 hour per month discussing strategy. Think of it. 85% leaders, they spend just 1 hour or maybe less per month discussing strategy. So if they're not discussing strategy, then what do you think they're discussing? They're discussing something which is not leaderly, right? That's a huge number, 85%. It's almost all the leaders out there. Yeah. With the exceptions of people like Elon Musk, uh, Steve Jobs, Gary Vee, Simon Sinek, those few people, everyone else, what are they doing? Look at yourself. What are you doing? Are you in this boat also? You want to get out of it, right? So identify your purpose and try to do something more about strategy than what you're doing at the moment. The E is engagement. Okay, you cannot be a leader if you don't know how to engage with your people. Yeah. So this has been uh, one of the biggest or the highest talking points across geographies, continents. Not just confined to the Americas or the Europes or the Asias or the Middle East. It's a pan global phenomena. Everyone is talking about engagement now. Is talking about diversity. Is talking about inclusion. Is talking about belongingness because it is something that deserves to be talked about. Yeah, SHRM says it all the time. Johnny Taylor, the guy at the head at the helm of SHRM, always says that we have to be talking about these subjects now. Because if not now, then when? And if not us, then who? We have to be taking care of engagement across the teams. Put a hand on your heart, take a deep breath, and think that as a leader, am I engaging just one part of the community? Am I engaging just one part of the business? Am I engaging just one form of people? What about the rest? There are so many other communities. There are so many other groups of people. There are so many beautiful, beautiful, talented people out there. Why are we consciously missing out on unleashing them in our organization? Why are we not making the best use of the opportunity that diversity offers us, that inclusion offers us? Why are we carrying the stereotypes, the mental blocks of the generations from before us? Why can we not shed those inhibitions and be a better version of what our future generation can be proud of? This is exactly what engagement is. A good leader knows how to take different kinds of people, put them all together, and make sure that they perform. We come to the R, and that's one of the most powerful parts of this model, resourcefulness. A great leader has to be resourceful, okay? Especially when you know that resources are going to be limited, okay? They're not going to be in abundant supply. Sooner or later, you would realize that these resources, whether it is just money or funds or finance or people or material or resources or whatever you're talking about, machines, technologies, there's always going to be a conflict between priorities. How resourceful are you? Are you like the car on the screen right now, which is just stuck and doesn't know what to do, doesn't know where to go, is just sitting with help to arrive from somewhere? That's not how leaders work. You have to be resourceful enough to make things happen. And I think the picture there on the screen sums this resourcefulness in action in a beautiful way. Yeah? So resourceful people, they can make the best come out of even broken things. Yeah, there is this fantastic, fascinating philosophy, Japanese philosophy of kintsugi, which says that you can actually fix broken things to make the object even more beautiful than what it was before it broke. And just look at the result on the screen. Isn't the second picture more beautiful than the first? We can do that with our resourcefulness in the company as well. The N of natural. So we already done with the super. Now we start with the natural. The N is nimble. Okay. So if you become very fat, if you become a lot of have a lot of have a lot of mass on yourself, you cannot navigate these challenging times that surround you, right? You have to be agile. You have to be easy to transform, easy to change, easy to adapt, and that's why being nimble is so important. Yeah, we have something called the VUCA ready approach. The world was volatile before the pandemic struck. The world was uncertain even before the pandemic struck. The world was also complex and ambiguous before the pandemic struck. But ever since 2020 started and we all found ourselves staring into the eyes of this coronavirus, things have become so much more volatile. We do not know what is going to happen next. We just do not know. And it's not just us as individuals, even the people in the highest of offices. You just listen to presidents and heads of organizations and bodies like the WHO, and they're clueless. They do not know for sure what is going to be the next move that they would be making. That is like the next level of volatility. Yeah, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, not being sure what is going to happen. We have the vaccine now, and we're putting our trust in using those vaccines to help stop the spread of this disease. But just take the spirit of this whole VUCA world that we are in and try to become a better VUCA prepared leaders yourselves. Okay, alignment is the next A. You could not be a better leader and not align your efforts with the goals of the company, the vision of the company, the mission of the company, the purpose of the company, and the culture of the company. Whatever you do has to be strategically aligned, because if you want to generate strategic impact, you have to ensure strategic alignment. Okay, not doing things because you like doing them, not doing things because you have been doing them before, not doing things because you feel like doing them, doing things because your strategy asks you to do them. That is alignment. When we come to trustworthiness, I cannot emphasize this enough. One of the most powerful parts of the supernatural model is trustworthiness. I really like a thought that Simon Sinek often shares in his talks. He says that a team is not a group of people who work together. Rather, a team is a group of people who trust each other. Yeah, how beautiful is that thought? We have something called the trust framework. The 5 C's of trust. So, if you yourself as a leader, whether you're working in people management, you're working in talent management, you're working in any part of the business, just look at yourself and make sure that you're following these 5 C's in order to become a trustworthy leader. You have to be a caring leader. You have to be committed to your leadership priorities, your leadership responsibilities, not just for the work that you have to accomplish, not just for the results that you have to bring, but also for the people that you lead. Consistency is the key. You cannot be a star today and a coal mine tomorrow. You have to be a consistent performer. Okay, the kind of results you produce can be small, but if they're consistent, you can bring a whole waterfall. But if you're not consistent, then this is not what we're talking about in terms of good leadership. Competence, extremely important. If you're not competent, you do not know how to do the job, you do not know how to get the results, you definitely cannot be somebody to look up to. Okay, so let's take the sales function. Okay, one of the most popular and most revenue generating functions inside the company. So if the sales director himself is not able to hit his targets, and then he's conducting a training for his sales reps on how to bring business, do you think it's going to add any value? People are going to listen to him. People will say this guy does not have the right kind of competence to get the job done for himself. How would he help us do the job for us? So, competence is key. You have to make sure that you really have the right kind of skills, the right kind of competence for doing the leadership job that you've been entrusted with. And the last one, of course, is communication. You cannot be a trustful person, a trustworthy person, a person worth being trusted, and you don't communicate about. Even in personal relationships, husbands and wives, you see. So you've been married to your spouse for like last 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. If you do not communicate, do not convey your feelings, do you think trust is going to stay in this relationship for a long, long period of time? You have to talk. You have to say it. Yeah. And that is what communication is. The same for your family, the same for your professional lives. The U is user focused. I chose this picture because I come from India. India is known as the land of spices. We love spices. We love spicy food. Yeah. The problem is, not everyone does. So let's say if I have a hotel, I have a restaurant that serves traditional Indian cuisine. Okay, biryani is pretty famous. I'm sure most of you would have already tried it. If you did not try it yet, you should go and you should try this delicacy, biryani. Okay, Byani. Google it. I would say it would be one of the most searched uh, cuisines from the Indo-Pak belt. Very popular. So let's say I open this restaurant, and most of my clientele, people who walk in, are people from the Indian subcontinent, okay, who actually prefer the same kind of food. What if an American national walks in? What if a European national walks in? What if an Australian national walks in? Yeah. What if an African national walks in? What if a Bulgarian national walks in and asks for biryani? Okay. What's today's special? Biryani. Okay, I'd like to have biryani. What should the chef do? So, an intelligent chef is going to say, okay, the biryani that I make, it has a lot of spice in it. I know this is how it should be. But is my user ready to consume what I consider the best kind of product that I have? Maybe not. So, I have to customize my biryani as per the requirements of the user. I have to tone down the spice. I have to make sure that this is exactly going to be an enjoyable dining experience for my guest, whether or not this person comes from the Indian subcontinent. The same thing applies to leadership also. Rather than just pushing through your own thoughts because you are the manager of something, because you are the boss of somebody, because you are the director of X, because you are the head of Y, because you're the VP of Z. No, you have to look at the people that you're actually leading. And then you would start adding actual value as a leader. Makes sense? Come to the R of the supernatural model, realistic. Yeah. If you're not realistic, what happens? Uh, you see walnuts on the screen. Yeah. Only one of them was realistic. It wore a helmet. every other wall will broke. You have to make sure that whatever you're thinking of is a realistic approach to leadership. Okay, you have to be a realist, but not a pessimist. We're not promoting pessimism. Okay, look at the moving imagery on the screen. Okay, it's the same wind, it's the same sunlight, but two very different responses. So one of these girls, she's gloomy, she's dark, she's facing away, she's not enjoying this at all. What is the other one doing? It is the same. It is the same sunlight, the same breeze, and she's taking it all in. She's so confident. She's so optimistic about the joy that this experience brings. So you will be optimistic, but at the same time, you will not become overconfident. Okay, you will not become over enthusiastic and ignore the reality of the leadership situation confronting you. You might be sitting in a board meeting, okay, as the head of HR, as the VP of HR, and the CEO says, you know what, you have been doing a great job. I want you this year to cut down your budget by 25%. I want you to raise addition to the headcount much faster than you did last time. Okay, and you because you just got a compliment in a board meeting, you say, oh yes, sure, what 25%? I'm going to cut it by 35%. You do something which is not realistic. Okay, it's not going to stick. It's not going to stick. And even if it sticks, it's going to stick once. Okay, it's not going to stick on a consistent basis. We talked about consistency. So make sure that you are realistic, optimistic, but realistic, and then you'll actually start making sense as the leader to everyone around you. We come to the A of the model. Let's say we make the best kind of strategies, we have the purpose, we have the alignment, and everything is all beautiful and shiny. When it comes to execution, it's a dud. It's a dud. Okay. So you plan for fireworks, yeah. So it's New Year's Eve, okay, and you're working with the hotel, and then you set up all the beautiful plans. You say, okay, balloons are going to shoot from the left of the building, and fireworks are going to shoot from the right of the building, and fountains are going to get lighted up from the center of the building. It's going to be a beautiful show. This is what I've planned. I'm going to be working with these vendors. These are the colors that we're going to be using. Everything is beautiful on paper, but when it is 12 midnight, nothing happens. It's just, and that's it. Do, do you think that is what is expected of a leader? Seriously, not expected of a leader. Yeah. Look at the pencil there on the screen. Those of you who have uh, little kids in the house would understand what this is. There are two ways of using the pen. One is chew the base of it, that brings beautiful ideas to your head. Yeah, ancient wisdom. Kids love doing that. Yeah, so chewing the base of the pencil. You say, what are you doing? Oh, I'm getting some great ideas. I'm just thinking about what I'm going to do. I'm going to write the best kind of thesis. I'm going to produce the best kind of essays. I'm going to write the best kind of paper. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to prepare the best plan that has ever been prepared. But what are you doing actually? Not doing much. Yeah, not doing much. So what we want you to do is to stop chewing it and start using it. Okay? Because if this is shiny, it means it's not being used. Okay? So planning is good, but planning without execution, perfect recipe for disaster. We come to the last part of the supernatural model, which is learning appetite. Leaders also deserve to learn. They have to learn. There is no point that you can come and say, you know what, I've learned enough. I do not want to do this anymore. Because if you feel like that, trust me, you'll not be in the business for a very long time. The best kind of leaders, they're the best kind of learners also. You can look at Steve Jobs, look at Elon Musk, okay? They're, they're great leaders. You might reason, you might say, these are Elon Musk, he's the richest person of the world. What does he need to do with learning? But no, the best kind of leaders know that if I don't learn, then not only am I not going to stay a leader, I'm not going to stay there at all. Look at companies. Look at Kodak. Okay, where is Kodak now? Look at Nokia. Okay, where was Nokia? And now where is Nokia? Of course, it did a rebound. It came back. But is it the same company that we knew, the father of the mobile phones? Is it still the father of the mobile phones? It's Apple now because they're learning, right? They're learning and and see them and see where they've reached. So you as a leader also deserve to increase your learning ability and increase your learning orientation. Just being average is not going to help you. Yeah, being a latent learner is not going to help you. Being just enthusiast and not learning is not going to help you. You have to show that you have high learning potential. Once you show that, you also become a great learner. Great learners are great leaders. Uh, in the end, we have a small section on execution. Okay, there is this beautiful publication called the disciplines of the four disciplines of execution. This is a book published by Franklin Covey. The authors are Chris McShane, Sean Covey, and Jim Hulling. Beautiful publication. Let's look at the four disciplines of execution. The first one that leaders should follow is focus on the wildly important goal or goals first. Okay, if you start with a lot on your plate, chances are that nothing gets done. So focus on the WIGs. They call it WIG, the WIG, the wildly important goal. Once you've done that, start acting on lead measures. Okay, if you just keep looking at the lag measures, things which have already passed, nothing much can be changed about what has already passed. Okay, try and keep a compelling scoreboard. Okay, research shows that people actually react differently when they're keeping scores. And the last one is create a cadence of accountability. If you know that you are going to be accountable for something, you're always going to be a better performer. That brings us to this wonderful quote from Spider Man: with great power comes great responsibility. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. It was a beautiful experience talking to you, spending some time. I really enjoy doing these knowledge sharing events, across continents, borders, different countries, meeting a lot of different people. So thank you so much for sharing this time with me. And I wish you happy leadership. And in the end, I'd also like to appeal and request all of you uh, to try and connect. Okay, it's always better, when we are doing things together. Okay, they say together is better. Okay, I'm always happy to hear from like-minded professionals, creative folks. So feel free to connect with me. This is the group that I talked about, the Human Resources Group. You can find this on LinkedIn. Uh, this is my email. You can take a screenshot of this slide and you can use it to contact me. Send me an invite on LinkedIn if you're not already connected. I'm very active on LinkedIn. This is literally like the place where I live. I love spending time on LinkedIn. So yeah, let's connect and continue the conversation offline. And lastly, yeah, also follow me on Twitter. I'm there on Twitter, and this is my handle. So thank you so much, guys. It was a pleasure spending time with you. I hope you go back and start being a supernatural leader. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best.